Welcome back to the Senior Basketball Analyst. We finally have some live basketball going on. We had a game between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, which was not terribly interesting. So I decided to just do an episode on the second game that aired on NBA TV today, or this evening, between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Utah Jazz. Uh, I'm going to do a few comparisons between the two games, but for the most part, the Lakers Jazz game was more interesting, and the reason being that the Lakers have a completely revamped roster. Obviously, it's the return of Julius Randle, so we're seeing that. We're also seeing D'Angelo Russell for the first time against actual NBA competition, not necessarily in an NBA game, but in real NBA competition against real professionals that he's going to be playing against throughout the rest of the season and the rest of his career. Uh, One thing that stands out, um, the Jazz just don't have a fully staffed roster. It's very similar to the Denver roster, where the guys that are on the end of the bench that are trying to make this team are flat out not NBA players. They're not very good. They don't add really anything skill set wise to the roster. Contrast that with, say, the LA Clippers, and you see, Luke Richard Mbamute is fighting for a spot on that Clippers roster. Luke can play. He's a real player, and you can obviously see how he would help them in a championship run. They talked about it throughout the course of the broadcast, all the spectacular small forwards that you're going to have to go through in order to win an NBA championship. Kevin Durant and LeBron James obviously being the headliners there. Um, so you can see where he fits, and it was strange. They're still in the market for a backup center there in Los Angeles. They need big men. They need fives and fours to come off the bench. They were playing Luke Mbamute at center for long stretches when DeAndre Jordan was out of the game. So I think that he will make the roster, but the question is who's going to run at center when DeAndre is not in the game. He had a real spring in his step flying around. The thing that was is now interesting in hindsight about that game after watching the Lakers and the Jazz is the difference between two rookie point guards. Denver obviously has Emmanuel Mudiay, and the Utah Jazz. I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Lakers have D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell. You watch Mudiay and you watch how he plays like somebody that has not been playing against top tier competition. And the reason is because he has not. He was playing in that the CBA. The CBA just is not, it's not credible, frankly. And you can see in the way he plays, being that his only competition other than high school that he's ever played against, it's just not up to par. You see him trying to throw passes, getting them tipped all over the place. Uh, the speed of the game, he really struggled to get Denver into their sets. The speed of the game, he's just not used to. These are things that will correct themselves pretty early on this season, but you just see how he hasn't adjusted yet, even though he's extremely quick. There was a play where Austin Rivers was guarding him, and Austin Rivers is just a disappointment, especially for someone that grew up watching his father play and how intelligent a player that Doc was. And you watch Austin play, and Austin just, you wonder why he does some of the things that he does on the basketball court, because he grew up watching the game. His father, again, being a very intelligent point guard, and Austin just doesn't know what he's doing. He has no excuse. It's not his athleticism. It's not even really his skill set. It's that he just makes silly errors all the time. He doesn't time anything properly. He plays like a guy that hasn't been playing NBA basketball, but at this point, he's a veteran. So I don't know about him sometimes. But regardless, it was a play where Moutier was trying to turn the corner to his right. He hesitated on Austin, which was the right thing to do. And then when he exploded to the rim, He got there so quickly. I had to rewind it back to see if my recording skipped. That kid can accelerate from a stop to go. He accelerates and gets to top speed as quickly as anybody in the league already. Um, so I'm going to be looking for that from Moutier going forward, watching him and seeing if that was just a fluke or if he can consistently get that kind of burst. If that's the kind of athlete he is, it's easy to see why people are excited about him because basketball is a quickness game. Being able to get from point A to point B faster than the other guy is vital. Then it's just a matter of can you put it together and can you execute. So when I saw that play and him explode to the rim and finish, he did it so quickly. I thought, wow, this guy is one of the quickest players in the league. So that's interesting. Contrast that with the way D'Angelo Russell plays, though. D'Angelo Russell, all night long, every second he was in the game, is getting LA into good sets. The very first play of the game, Julius Randle sets the screen for him, rolls to the basket. D'Angelo Russell creates the right angle, throws a perfect pocket pass to D'Angelo to Julius Randle, and Julius Randle finishes strong with a dunk. D'Angelo Russell was making plays like that all night long where he was making the right pass. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And it was great to watch. And you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of Andre Miller and how polished his game is day one. That was his first day. And he's ready to go. This is a guy you could drop him in anywhere and just say, hey, run our stuff. Because that's what the point guard's job is. The point guard's job isn't to go out and go for his and just open up business for himself. That's not his job. His job is to set the table for the entire team. If that means it's his turn to score, that's perfectly fine. But that's really what the point guard's job is. And D'Angelo was doing that all night. So that was spectacular to see. We saw way too much Derek Favors, way too much. Derek Favors is one of the most high percentage guys in the league. He's a pro's pro, man. He's a professional. We don't really need to see much Derek Favors. Derek Favors run up and down a couple times, get a couple shots up, get loose, and he can go sit down. We don't really need to see a lot of him. Rudy Gobert just can't play basketball. He's just not any good. And you see the athleticism and you get excited, except he's not good though. He was doing things all night that you just say, man, this guy just can't play basketball. He's so athletic that his raw athletic ability, he can be out there and exist and function. But the problem is when you're relying on this guy to play starters minutes, he's not productive. He's just not productive. And he does things like, I mean, you figure like this. He has the same tool set that DeAndre Jordan has. And you watch him play, though, and you go, oh, I see why. You see why when you watch him, why it doesn't net anything. He has bad hands. His footwork is atrocious, offensively and defensively. He's also not good at holding his ground, even though you would think he'd have to be strong given his size and his build. But he doesn't really hold his ground very well. So he's not a functionally strong player. And then this little things. Gets a rebound, and instead of trying to give it to a guard and run the floor, he outlets it to Derek Favors, who's, in a full sprint because they cleared it. He's in a full sprint down the court. He throws it off Derek's back. Now, they didn't turn it over, but why are you outletting the ball to a power forward anyway? It's just he does basic I don't know how to play basketball things, even though he's been playing basketball for a long time. He's a professional. He just doesn't know basic things. So Rudy Gobert, look, the kid's such an explosive athlete that the light could turn on at any time for him. But in the meantime, man, he's just not very good. He's still just not very good. I also do not like this backcourt with Utah. Trey Burke and Alec Burks, neither one of them. And Trey Burke particularly. Trey Burke has to make better decisions. because he's not very quick. He's just not a very good athlete. He's not very quick. He does not jump very high. He is not very strong. So he doesn't have those athletic gifts to lean on, but at the same time, he doesn't make good decisions. He was out there doing all kinds of silly stuff. And that is not going to cut in the regular season. He like starting a guy like him is going to be one of the reasons why Utah's not any good. Gordon Hayward, again, he's kind of like Favors in that, this is a vet. I don't really care what he's doing in preseason. He runs up and down, get loose, and then he can go sit down. He played 28 minutes. He played more than anybody. No way I'm playing. If I'm the coach, there's no way I'm playing Gordon Hayward 28 minutes in a preseason game. Not doing it. He's put on a lot of weight. I'm assuming it's muscle. I'm assuming it's not, I'm not, eating right and I'm not playing enough weight. I'm assuming it's muscle. Remains to be seen what kind of season he's going to have. But yeah, he just played too much. And then their bench, this bench is just, it's a murderer's row of guys that are really D-leaguers. They were trying to talk up various guys too that were in there, just, just kind of fooling around out there, just kind of flailing. And like this Tibor Plies guy who didn't even have a field goal. They were talking him up a lot during the game. Elijah Millsap, we know that can play. He's a D-League standout. Obviously his brother is Paul Millsap. He can play. But other than that, off their bench, Trevor Booker can play. So he's functional. But the rest of their bench, it's just a bunch of dudes, man. So look for Utah to be really bad yet again this year. Now, the more interesting team, the Lakers. They've made several additions and several people are going to be in their starting lineup that were not in the starting lineup last year. Obviously, they plug in Julius Randle because Julius Randle, he was hurt last year with a broken leg. He's going to be in there. Roy Hibbert was an addition they made. He's starting at center. And then the centerpiece, the wave of the future, D'Angelo Russell. But you look at this Lakers roster, and Byron Scott would have that look on his face like this sometimes, like he was like just short of snapping. But I think this year he's at least got a functional roster. He's got Brandon Bass coming off his bench. He's got baby hair Lou Williams coming off his bench. So they bring in Ron Artest, Metta World Peace, to kind of be that, I've done this before. Let me show the young bucks how to do it guy in practice. And then, of course, they still have Kobe Bryant, who is the example of all examples. So they should be better and should be at least be functional. It's kind of a thing of where you go from being an embarrassment to at least being professional. Byron Scott can coach if you give him some actual functioning players. I'll tell you this, though. I don't need to ever see Ryan Kelly or Robert Sacre play basketball ever again. These two guys are just pitiful basketball players. I have no idea why either one of them's in the NBA. No idea. I don't know if they know somebody, people just like them, whatever. They shouldn't be on anybody's NBA roster. Now, Nick Young had an interesting game. And it was interesting to see, I'm not a big Nick Young. I shouldn't say I'm not a big Nick Young fan. I don't like him as a player at all. I think that I think that he just doesn't take anything seriously when he's on the basketball court. But today he looked really good. He was running the sets and taking good shots, penetrating and kicking. He was doing, and you know what he was doing too that was really, really shocking to me? He was making a strong defensive effort. And if you know about the career of Byron Scott's teams play very hard defensively, and they play smart defensively. So it was good to see Nick Young buying in now that the team isn't a joke. Because last year, whether Nick Young takes it seriously or not, the team's just not any good. They weren't going to beat anyone anyway. That wasn't his fault. So it was good to see him playing that way. This kid, Jordan Clarkson, I like the backcourt of Jordan Clarkson and D'Angelo Russell. And it's not that I necessarily like what they did together. It's just that I like these two players individually. I don't know, you know, somebody's got to guard twos full time. So it remains to be seen whether or not against NBA competition, because we always have to remember and take everything in preseason with a grain of salt, and even bigger grain of salt when you're playing a team like the Utah Jazz, which just does not have very good players. So we take it all for what it's worth. But we saw Jordan Clarkson have a good, Lutheran riot style end of the season. We saw that. And you just, when you watch him play, you get excited about how quickly he explodes to the basket. You get excited about his ability to finish with contact. He had a really nice and one where he was running to the sideline and kissing his bicep. The dude's excited. He's hungry for a deal. And he's an exciting talent. And having him and D'Angelo Russell, I like their point guard options. Now, again, these guys are, these guys are young cats, man. So it's not like I'm trying to put the whole world on their shoulders. I'm just saying these are. It's good. It's good to me when you have a young guy that is going to be able to produce and function for you in some way. Then that's successful. That's something that you can hang your hat on and say, okay, I know this guy's a player. We don't have to teach him a whole series of things just to get him to be where he can get on the court and produce for us. So they know they have that. Julius Randle, you can't tell anything about him other than he looks healthy. Other than him having a little spring in his step, you can't tell anything. His timing's all goofed up. He couldn't hit anything. Dude was getting wide open free throws. He couldn't hit them. So Julius, he's going to have to get his timing back before we can even evaluate him. Roy Hibbert just looked like Roy Hibbert as usual. It's the same old thing where you expect him to finish certain shots that he doesn't finish. You expect him to get a block where he doesn't block it. He'll scare the guy into a miss, which is often as good, but you just always wonder what's going on with Roy Hibbert, man. He kind of stumbles around sometimes. You know what else, too, I don't like? I don't like how when he was with the Pacers, it was the same thing, and now he's with L.A., right back to the high post. Get this guy in front of the rim. This thing in the high post, and this is why I don't like where he is on the court. He catches the ball at the elbow all the time, and they post him there. He is no threat to score from there. He's a low percentage player from there. And I shouldn't say no threat. He's just low percentage. And look, man, just by sheer physical size, he's a threat if he catches underneath the basket. That dude should be block under the basket, block under the basket. He should be weak side block, just flash, get back out the paint, flash, get back out the paint, set a screen, get under the basket. He should be doing that, and that's it. Having this dude, and it's like, well, he's a good passer. Yeah, I know he can pass, but you know who else can pass? All my guards, and they can hit shots from there. Roy Hibbert he's one of those dudes. Yeah, he can hit a shot from 15 feet, but that's not his bread and butter. And you're not going to win games by Roy Hibbert throwing in a series of 15-footers. There's no reason for him to be that far from the basket. He can't dribble, so why is he out there? Every year in Indiana, I would ask the same question: why is he so far from the basket all game long? And now I got to ask that question with the Lakers. Look, it's just preseason. But guys, would you fix that? Just fix it. Like, stop putting this 7'2" aircraft carrier at the free throw line. Stop doing that. So, that was just one of those things that just was bugging me right from the jump. Kobe Bryant. There's nothing to say about what Kobe Bryant did because who cares? It's like his 20th season or something. He played the whole first quarter and then he sat. Nothing to see here. So those are my thoughts on this game, on that game, and really most of my thoughts on the Clippers Denver Nuggets game. There's really nothing to see there. The Denver Nuggets are just a dead franchise. There's just every year anybody plays there is just a year to get flushed down the toilet. There's nothing happening there. It's Denver's a mess as always. Their roster isn't fully staffed. They have too many small forwards. They have too many power forwards. They just have a mishmash of mess, and they're they're not even they're not even bad enough where they're gonna get the number one pick or anything. They're just a poorly constructed roster, as though it's like they're just a dumping ground for other teams' discarded parts. Like that's what they have. They have just a bunch of dudes. They already have Kenneth Faried. That's like the centerpiece of the franchise. Then they go run and go get J.J. Hickson. You have a whole series of holes on this team. Why are you going to go get another dude that not only does he play the same position as Kenneth Faried, he plays it in a similar way. There's no rhyme or reason. That was like, and they did that at the same time that they had Ty Lawson and they went and got Nate Robinson. So they have a 5'9" jumping jack dude. They went and get the other 5'9" jumping jack. What are you doing? What are you doing, Denver? But there you have it. That's the Denver Nuggets. So, and they were playing against a team with title aspirations. The LA Clippers, they have a fully staffed roster. They have a full bench. They have coming off their bench now. They got Lance Stevenson, Josh Smith. They still have Jamal Crawford. And they have a real roster. So, they're going for a title, and Denver just isn't. So there wasn't really anything exciting about that game, to be honest. So, the conclusion, though, and I think the biggest takeaway is, Emmanuel Mudiay, for all his talent, is still adjusting to the speed of an NBA game, and in this case, just an NBA preseason game, which is even a gear lower. While D'Angelo Russell is ready to step in and set his teammates up and get you into your stuff quickly and not waste seconds off of that shot clock. Because remember, a 24-second shot clock is not very long. If I can force you into, say, 7 seconds just to get the ball up the court, now there's only 17 seconds to go. So now you have 17 seconds left to play. If then it takes you another 5 seconds just to get into a set, you see how that time just ticks away. You only have 12 seconds left to get a good shot. So having a point guard that can get you into your stuff quickly is essential. And it was good to see that D'Angelo Russell, much ballyhooed coming out of college, it's good to see that it's good to see right away he looks ready to do that part of the job. So now it's just a matter of finding out how he's going to, what go-to moves he's going to use to get his buckets and tightening up his jump shot and things like that. Things that are much easier than learning how to run a team. And he seems to kind of know a lot of that and already have those skills. So that's the takeaway from those preseason games. And we're just chomping at the bit waiting to get to the regular season. So, if you like the videos, man, just keep hitting that like button. Leave your comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at SBA4String. And you can hit us up on Facebook, Senior Basketball Analyst, website seniorbasketballanalyst.com. So make sure you stick with us throughout the season. We're going to be doing a lot of analysis on a lot of games. We're going to be doing at least 3 games a week. So keep checking back with us. Senior Basketball Analyst, so you know that.